Hello, everyone. I'm Melissa McAllister, and you're listening to the Melissa M.A.D.E Show. Now, for decades, I've dedicated myself to helping women break the cycle of dieting, navigate through all the fads, and change their lives through my nutrition coaching. Now, each week, I'm going to talk about everything from deep nutrition, mindset, self-care, the ideal workout routine, tips on how and why to implement intermittent fasting in your life, my favorite recipes that are not only crowd pleasers, but they're actually healthy for you, and so much more. Now, with small and consistent changes, you can defy aging while living a happier, healthier, and more heart-filled life. I'm so excited to show you it's possible with the right strategies that are so simple to adopt. Everybody, and welcome to the Melissa M.A.D.E Show. Now, my guest today, so far, this podcast is 5 months old, maybe almost going on 6. And I've either done a solo podcast or I have done a podcast with a professional. This guest is a professional, but he's also a friend. So this is the first time that I feel like I can just kind of take a deep breath and just talk to my friend. So I'm really excited about that. But before I introduce our guest, Mr. Joel Freeman, I do want to share with you guys the first time that I met him. Many of you guys know I was a master trainer for many, many years with Powder Blue and then Beachbody. Core de Force came out and I was invited. It was invitation to come to a weekend long boot camp for Core de Force, where I got to meet Joel and Jericho. Number one, that was hard as hell, but I'm sure that doesn't surprise you. But we go into this meeting room and in walk Joel and Jericho, bigger than life. They're both beautiful and very successful. And I remember just going, wow, this is cool. And Jericho is very politically correct and very poised and a little soft-spoken. Then there's Joel. So not only is he pretty, we can all admit he's very pretty, but he's also got just this great voice. So normally, you're either blessed with a great voice or a great face, and he got both. Not fair. But you guys, he was so funny. He was so flipping funny. And I was like, oh, no wonder people like him so much. And so I tell you this because if you only know him from his programs, or if you only know him from social media and you're like, too good to be true. He's probably not that funny. He's probably not that interesting. He really, truly is. He's become a really good friend of mine. And Taylor and I happened to be there, my daughter, this morning working out with him. And as we left, she said, you know what? I was thinking to myself, and she says, and I'm sober, so I know it's a true thought. She says, but I just really like hanging out with him. He's a good guy. So I asked him to be on this podcast because I just want you guys to get to know him on a little bit deeper level. And he's got a great program coming out. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about that as well. But Mr. Joel Freeman, so you started off in construction. And then I believe you obviously went into the fitness industry and worked with Gold's Gym for a while. And it brought you somehow, some way to be a part of Les Mills, which then brought you to Beachbody when Les Mills and Beachbody had that little tiny love affair for just a second. And ever since then, you've been with Beachbody. And do I have that right? Is there anything I'm missing in your fitness career?
I don't think so. It has been a lot of it has been a blur myself. And I really, at the very beginning of that, I wasn't sure where you were going with the professional thing. Cause I was like, you've had professionals and then you had me, which I'm like, I completely agree with you. So I was like, you just ran out of professionals to talk to. I'm right. I'm totally good being that backup. I really am. But
I'm just calling up friends now.
Yeah, no, that was Core de Force Live, man. That was 7 years ago.
Oh my gosh, that was a long time.
7 or 8 years ago when we did that with Core de Force Live and stuff. And yeah, that was fun. But so did start in construction, going to college at Texas Tech, and it was bartending and framing houses and going to class whenever I got bored, which wasn't very often. I just wasn't in it. I didn't know what I want to do. I changed my major every semester and actually left 3 years into it because I was like, I'm wasting time, I'm wasting money. And so then I started working, and I took my first gym job, front desk, at 19, 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. shift, just because I needed the money. So, and then it honestly has just evolved over the years from there. And I was always good at talking to people, good at selling memberships, good at selling personal training, all that good stuff. And then that really evolved my business side of the career. And that's where it was. And you know the story, like I was still out back smoking a cigarette and then go sell gym memberships. Like I was not into the health and fitness aspect of it all. I was just into the business of health and fitness. And then obviously over the years, I was like, all right, if I'm going to really do this, then I should maybe not smoke and walk the walk and talk the talk. And so, started being a little bit healthier and stuff, but it's still very much a business to me in a lot of ways. I love what I do. I love making programs. I love making those programs to just help people live their lives better. Because as you know, I just want to work out so I can enjoy my life, which is all the other things that encompass what my life is consistent of.
Yeah, totally. And I polled my audience just like right before and still got a lot of questions. And a lot of them are very great questions that have to do with health and fitness. But I feel like there's kind of an elephant in the room that I want to talk about first. First and foremost, I got you a ton of marriage proposals. So if you by chance want me to forward those.
So thank you, but no, thank you. One was good. I was good with one. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate that.
But you have recently gone through what was hopeful to be a private separation and divorce. Is kind of public because you and my friend and your ex now, Brianne.
Yeah,
we were together a lot, and your relationship on social media was very public, and it was very hard for you to hide, the decision to dissolve the marriage. And people make speculations and people will always judge and stuff like that. And you've done, in my personal opinion, a very good job of trying to keep it as private as you can. But is there anything that you would like to say about that to kind of clear the air?
Yeah, it was interesting to go through something like that that's already very, very painful and then for it to be so public. And it's definitely not something I expected. But what I can say is, and I don't really want it to go into anything because again, I'm keeping it private, and that's the privacy that myself and Brianne deserve. And I wish nothing but the best for her. And you know that, she knows that, and everybody who's close to me know that. To where, when it comes to two people, look, it is what it is. And two people sometimes work out and sometimes they don't, but I have no ill will. I have no ill feelings. I just want to move forward, and I hope she does the same. And that's honestly it. So, then that'll be the end of that, right? Because it's done and we're all moving on. Yeah, absolutely. And I obviously wish both of you guys the best. And I think I've shared this before in a podcast. If not, I've shared it on social media, very often, that Mick and I, almost didn't make it. So if you have the perfect relationship, something's not right. Right. Yeah. And there's no that, but look, again, people are looking off of what they only see on social media. And over the years, our relationship is very public from that standpoint. So then obviously they just see one thing. They're like, oh, it was great. So, perception is everything when it comes to social media, and people just have that perception. But that's what we, remember, social media is a snapshot. Oh, nobody's ever seen the full story, and no one will ever know the full story. That's but that's the thing about having a public profile on social media. So, but I've taken the opportunity to bring back some of my private life private again, which I'm really enjoying, and just focusing now on bringing those elements that I truly want to share on social media, which is just living your best life and being hopefully motivational from that standpoint. And that's it. And if that's enough for people, great. If it's not, then there's an unfollow button. 100%. Yeah. So I got asked by a few people too about your move to Texas. What made you move to Texas, and are you enjoying living here? Well, yeah, I mean, I tried to live far away from you guys and that didn't work out. I'm literally 8 minutes from them, y'all. So it's very cool. That just kind of worked out. But I was done with California, over the past couple of years, even before the personal changes. I was just not feeling it as much as I used to. And when I moved back to California, I'm originally from there. It's where my family's from. But when I moved back there in 2010, 2011, it was different. It was a different vibe. It was a different feel. I was working for Gold's Gym at the time. That's when I moved down there and became one of their directors, and I was busy. And so I was all over the city, helping them build gyms and group exercise. And so it was just different. It changed. And, you know, especially over the past couple of years, LA has really changed. And it just wasn't me anymore. I wanted space. I wanted freedom. I wanted the opportunity to be able to kind of do what I want and build and have more space and more property and this and that. And you can't really do that in LA. So I grew up in West Texas, you know, went to college at Texas Tech. So Texas has always been near and dear to my heart. I love this area in North Texas where we all live. And it was just a good vibe. And now that I'm here, I love it. I've never been happier of the place that I live at.
Yeah, you have a pretty good setup.
Extreme heat right now. That's okay, because you know we get it. But like everywhere in the world, everywhere in the country has that. So you know, there's no perfect temperature, but it's that's what a pool's for. And then when it gets really, really cold, that's what a heater's for.
Or Mexico.
Or Mexico, or we just go to Cabo. That works.
Yeah, 100%. So you know, your brand kind of centers around this whole workout for what, and when you're really kind of in the workout, it's not like you're not one of those, you know, crazy people that are like, this is so much fun, but you do it and you go hard and you go heavy because you want to have, you know, the ability to do all of the fun things that you love to do. So can you share a little bit more about your, you know, kind of your goals, I guess your fitness goals, and why you set those goals for the lifestyle that you hope to live?
Well, yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of things in my life that I didn't get an opportunity to do growing up, in terms of, you know, even riding a dirt bike, things like that. Like I wanted to, but it just didn't work out, and where I lived and all those circumstances surrounding me growing up. So, you know, now 40 this year. So it's really been the past 5 years and moving forward where I'm doing more new things now than I did. You know, it's a lot of stuff that kids learn. And when you're a kid and you learn how to do it, you bounce off the ground a lot easier. You're a lot smaller. You heal faster. Your dexterity, your flexibility, your balance, everything is different when you're a kid, right? You're invincible. I'm not as invincible as I used to be. So, and even over the years, and we all feel that as we get older, but then over the years of even having injuries myself from lifting injuries and things like that. So that in itself makes it a little bit more of a challenge. So now at almost 40, I have to be cognizant of needing the strength and needing the flexibility and the ability to stay and get on a dirt bike and learn how to do that effectively without really injuring myself and all these different things. And so that's what I love to do. And obviously through you know, our guy group with your husband and Mick and all the other guys, we love doing that stuff and we want to continue doing that stuff. And I don't have any intention on slowing down and doing less stuff. So that's really for me, what I've realized over the past decade is for my health and fitness, that allows me to do all these things and be active all day long without having back pain and lifting things up and building things and stuff. And so I think, and so that's really where the workout for what came from, where it was, why am I doing this? Is it just aesthetics? Is it just for my health? And some people are looking at it from that standpoint. But for me, I'm like, to me, those are just such tertiary things. And it's different though, because I understand it's different because I'm not going for a specific weight loss. I'm not going for something like if I had 50 pounds to lose, obviously that's my first priority. But if you're at a point where you're kind of in the maintenance world of it, then I just look at it and say, look, I'm getting my workout in. That workout sucked, but the reason I'm doing it is to get myself stronger and better for all the other things that I want to do.
Yeah. And, you know, as you were talking, I'm thinking this is a really good time to bust roll Josh, because here these guys, you know, they look for the next adrenaline rush. Yeah. You guys skydive, you extreme ski and snowboard, and you know, jet ski and motocross and
name it, we'll do it.
Yeah. And then this last weekend, there's a slip and slide. Josh goes down the slip and slide and slices his leg wide open, which is comical because he's, you know, he does some pretty extreme stuff because he's just like you, very physically fit. It's very important to him to be physically fit so that he can avoid injury.
Right. And then he does that. So, you know, there's also, you know, the universe has a sense of humor. We all know this.
For sure.
but we also made the slip and slide longer. So there was that.
More power.
Yeah, more power. And so you could go the longest up down the slip and slide, which was like half the length of an acre. So no, we do dumb shit, and we want to be able to continue to do dumb shit.
Yeah. And you guys do. You got lots planned. So a very specific question, which I think kind of leads into the workout for what is, how do you drink and not gain weight?
Yeah. We do like our beverages, our little drinky poos, as we call them. So, again, I speak in very general terms when I do my posts, because I have a general audience. I don't ever really go into a specific, category, or like when I talk about, because like even my programs, they're very general, right? They're going to get you in shape. But if you have a specific health and fitness goal that you need to accomplish, or you want to accomplish, like if you're 50 pounds, then you have to do specific things to do that, right? We all know that. We all know what we should and shouldn't eat. We all know that we should and shouldn't drink. It's not a mystery anymore. Yeah. So I speak in a very broad sense when it comes to these things. And I'm very upfront about the fact that I love whiskey. I love bourbon. I have several times a week. I just do my little bourbon or scotch in the evenings, and that's my chill. But I don't eat sugar. You know that I'm not a sugar guy. You about passed out when you saw me eat a brownie this weekend. Like, you're like, what are you doing? I was like, I don't know, it's a little tiny one. It looked good. So, but I'm not a sugar person. So my thing is I like a little scotch. I like little things. So, but when it comes to those days when we go on vacation and we do these certain things, or we know we're going to have more drinks, it's kind of a cognizant mentality of like, if I'm going to be drinking, I'm not going to be eating as much. So it's kind of a give and take. Like, we don't drink when we go out to the lake and we do these things. We don't drink and eat, as we say. We don't eat like an asshole. We really don't. I mean, we're always so busy, but we still always make sure that there's some sort of protein on the boat, like if it's chicken or whatever that is. So we know what we should and shouldn't be eating. And then obviously by the end of the day, sometimes we go and we pick it out nachos. But so that's one aspect of it.
Yeah.
The other aspect of it, and maybe even more important, is the consistency that goes on either side of that day. So many people look at a vacation 2 or 3 days a week, or 2 or 3 days on a vacation, or a week, or whatever that may be. Like, we don't drink like that every day. Yeah. Now, during the summer, we might a little bit more because we're together more, or like when it's ski season, we might do that. But it's the consistency, and our buddy Mike said it a long time ago. It's a credit and debit system, right? So if you're building up enough credit into your bank account, then the debits don't hurt as much. And that's kind of the way you can think about it, is in that aspect of it. Another way I talked about is bookends. Like, on both sides, I've got just massive amount of consistency where I am being mindful of what I eat on a daily basis, and I'm being active on a daily basis. And I'm also, and then that way, when I do have my drinks, I just don't even have to think about it.
Yeah. I love that. And I've learned a lot from you over the past several years of becoming friends. I was very, very steadfast on my eating, and, got to get my workout in. And I've learned to loosen up a little bit. And if anything, I think it's been really helpful. I mean, obviously mentally, it's very helpful to not be so rigid in your lifestyle and your nutrition and even drinking. And I've learned to let that go a little bit. And at 48 years old, I'm probably right now in the best shape of my life. In fact, I shared that I had really gone on totally blaming you, Joel, a drinking binge for like 4 months, from like Thanksgiving to March. And
I wasn't around during that time, so I don't think you can blame me, but that's fine. I'll take the blame anyway.
I have to put the blame on you.
I'll take it.
And so then I went and got my DEXA scan, and was shocked to see that I had still gained muscle and lost body fat and stayed the same weight. And I was like, wow, because maybe you rub off on people a little bit that there is that, if you are going to, balance is key, that if you are going to be a little bit more lenient in areas of your nutrition, to make up for it in other areas. And yes, Mike is also a little voice in my head about the debit and credit. I think that's a genius analogy, which brings me to the next point. You mentioning protein, like on the boat and stuff like that. Somebody asked, how do you lose weight and still be able to, diet wise, how do you lose weight and still be able to build muscle? Do you have any say so or any opinion on that?
Yeah, with LIIFT4 coming out and talking about building muscle, burning fat. And those are, those are the two terms that we use: build muscle, burn fat. Obviously. And that's synonymous with everything else. And that's what people say. They're like, well, I want to lose weight and I want to tone up. Well, that means you want to build muscle and burn fat. It's the exact same thing, because that's what you have to do. So, and it's a weird mentality. I think it's old school mentality too. I think that's where it came from. Same thing of like, women getting bulky, lifting weights, but there's also this mentality that you can't do both. You can't burn fat and build muscle at the same time. You have to do a bulk phase and then you have to do a cutting phase. And it's bullshit. I mean, like, look, the science 100%. Says it's bullshit. So, and people are still saying, I still see people on social media saying, well, you can't do both. You got to bulk first and you got to try. I'm just like, my mind wants to explode when I see that, because you can still be in a caloric deficit and get enough protein to build your muscle. So it goes into, again, when you have a specific goal, if you're looking to lose 30 pounds, if you need to go, let's just use that as an example. Because anything 10 and under, I don't consider being in a massive caloric deficit. I mean, like, we fluctuate 5 pounds throughout the day, for God's sake. So, 10 or more, now you're starting to talk about, okay, you can put yourself in a little caloric deficit, but it doesn't mean you still are decreasing the amount of protein that your body is getting. And that's why they're called macros, right? 30 protein, 40 carbs, 30 fat. Those are balanced macros. Those are basic macros. You can tweak those however you want, but every nutrition plan out there, even the Beachbody ones, still are based on those basic macros, right? So you can do both. And it's just a matter of then when you start lifting, that's how you build the muscle. So great, you are in a caloric deficit. So how do you build muscle and still burn fat? Lift heavy. I think that's the biggest thing. I think that's one of the biggest missing key points that people are not doing. They're like, well, I'm working out. Well, are you lifting heavy though? Are you actually making your muscles say, holy shit, I need to get stronger? And that's where I think that's why, number one, that's why LIIFT4 has worked so well over the years. And that's why LIIFT More is going to work probably even more better from this standpoint of it, because it's an extra day and they're longer workouts. And this is something I really want to do, is make this a very intense lifting program because of that right there. So if you're not challenging your muscles then to grow, then you're not building any muscle. You have to challenge them. And I think that's still a common key missing ingredient that people are not lifting heavy enough.
Right. And I'm here to tell you, cardio queen, who was cardio queen for 20 years, probably.
Look at your calves. We know, girl.
And those obliques. I loved cardio, and strength training was something that would be like, oh, I don't want to do it. But when I made up my mind, almost out of stubbornness, to be like, you know what, whatever, I'm going to pull back on the cardio a little bit because it's not the best thing for my feet. And I'm going to incorporate more strength training. What a game changer. And you still do, but you used to tease me all the time because I was holding 10 and 12 and sometimes 15 pounds. And you're like, what are those baby weights? And I'd be like, shut up, But then, LIIFT More came out. I had great results with LIIFT4 and stepped it up a little bit. But with LIIFT More, okay, so I'm competitive. Joel, I know that surprises you. I'm competitive, especially with myself. But the two gals that you have in LIIFT More are phenomenal cast members. They're very relatable, cute as can be, and they lift heavy. And so I would always challenge myself to at least grab what they did. And it was still is humbling, but it was so humbling in the beginning because I'm like, wow, I really wasn't challenging myself. And by just letting go of my misconceived notions that it was going to bulk me up and that I wouldn't enjoy it if I really just kind of immersed myself in the idea of lifting heavy, absolutely fell in love with it. And I even told you this, I'm lost now that the test group is over completely. Right. That's why I'm knocking on your door.
Yeah, that's why you come over for leg days now, right? Because I got the heavier dumbbells. But that's the biggest thing. And that's where I think it's going to take a little bit more time. And I think it's going to take some more years of education with people, but we're going in the right direction. I think with LIIFT More, it's going to help. It's going to help more. Getting that out and people understanding, so once the program comes out, and I think people get a few rounds under the belt, because it's not just, one round of 8 weeks is not going to do it. Like, again, we're talking, go back to that credit debit system, go back to consistency, is consistently building and consistently challenging your muscles. And I don't really talk about this much on social media because it's a slippery slope and people can take advantage of what you say, obviously, and they're going to twist it around. But the more muscle you have on your body, the more you can get away with shit. It really is true, because
It's true.
If you have a solid foundation of muscle, go back to the science. Muscle consumes more calories throughout the day than anything else in your body, right? So you have your BMR, which is the amount of calories you're burning just to stay alive throughout the day. And then you have your activities, you have your total daily energy expenditure, you have your there's all these different things out there that all contribute to burning calories. So the more muscle you have on your body, the more calories you're burning throughout the day too. So many people are just focused on those trackables, and I only burn 300 calories or not even 300 calories, 200 calories during my lifting. I'm like, yeah, but you just increase your total daily caloric burn. I mean, so like, and that in itself, I don't understand why people wouldn't want to do that. Why would you not want to just turn your body into a calorie burning machine every single day? And that's also how myself and some of the guys and stuff, we get away with a little bit more because our metabolisms are slowing down too as we're getting older, but we also have more muscle mass. And a woman can have I don't want to say just as much muscle mass, but in comparative purposes, you can have just as much muscle that fits on your body, and that's going to help you overall too.
Yeah, no, I definitely have been able to increase my calorie intake and stay the same weight, 100% without a doubt. Weight gain. It can be so hard to avoid, especially when we're binge watching our favorite shows and getting invited to party after party. And it's frustrating when we're working really hard and everything seems to be going right, but yet that scale keeps creeping up and up. But I recently learned a really interesting fact about how weight gain works and the super simple ways that we can control it. So I was chatting with Tina Anderson. Now she's the founder of Just Thrive Probiotics, and you definitely want to check out the podcast that we did together. It's really good. She told me that when it comes to fat burning, you and I are basically at the mercy of two specific hunger hormones. Now stay with me. I promise this won't get too sciencey. Now these hormones, which are controlled by your gut, are responsible for switching off your fat storing and switching on your fat burning. Interesting, right? So when your gut can properly parent these hormones, your body literally absorbs less fat from the food you eat and burns the excess fat that you have. Yes, please and thank you. But thanks to our modern toxic world, it's way too easy for these hormones to misbehave and to kind of run amok. So when this happens, we end up choosing foods that we know are bad for us. We're eating more foods, even when we're not hungry. And we're making bad food choices because we think that it just might possibly boost our down mood. Now, that's why it is so important to support the health of your gut so that you get these hormones under control. Now, thanks to Tina, my go-to gut support is Just Thrive Probiotic. If you've been following me, you know I'm obsessed with gut health. Up to 80% of your immune system lives in your gut. So a healthy gut is truly the master key to staying resilient and feeling your best. And with Just Thrive Probiotic, I feel confident that I'm giving my body what it needs to stay strong and balance my hunger hormones so I can avoid unwanted pounds. I trust Just Thrive because their probiotic has more clinical research than anything else out there. You hear that? I love that it's vegan, it's non-GMO, it's gluten-free, it's dairy-free, and free from anything artificial. And it's even safe for kids. You can literally break open the capsule and sprinkle it onto any food or drink because Just Thrive strains are so resilient. They are all natural and do not even come alive until they get into your intestines. Now, seriously, I can mix it into smoothies or bake it into any recipe without losing the potency. Now, as a bonus, Just Thrive Probiotic can even support beautiful skin, better sleep, and a brighter mood. Just Thrive is my secret weapon for weight management. And right now, you can save 15% off their award-winning probiotic when you go to justthrivehealth.com and use the promo code MelissaMade at checkout. So someone had a really good question, which you're the perfect person to answer for this. So they're going to be they're excited to start LIIFT More in less than a month. Yay. And, but she says, how do I know what weights to grab? I don't think she's ever done anything when you say bicep curl, and even in the video, you do a great job of saying what you're doing, what the other girls are doing. But if it's somebody that's kind of new to strength training, how do they know what dumbbell to grab for a tricep extension or a bicep curl.
Yeah, and that's why we always do the intro videos, the how-tos. But there's a how to LIIFT4, there's the intro to LIIFT MORE. And I talk about it in the actual program too. People just aren't listening half the time. They're blocking me out because they're like, I never heard you say that. I'm like, I promise you, I said it every single workout. It's perceived exertion. That's really the best way to say it, is perceived exertion. And because we're using, so in LIIFT4, we do 10 reps, and LIIFT MORE, we do 12, 3 sets of 12. So it's basically saying, how do you feel by that point? So, and I always say, like, if it's 12 reps, by the time you get to the 10th rep, you should be really happy you only have 2 left. That's usually how it should get to the point. Now, if you do 10 reps and you finish your 12 reps, and you're like, I could have done, 15 reps, then it's time to increase your weight. So it really comes down to perceived exertion to that point where I feel it in my muscle. And then by the time, again, like 12 reps, you're just like, thank God, and set it down. And then when you get to your 3rd set of 12, you should be really happy that that's your last set. And if you do 3 sets of 12 and you feel like, man, I probably could have done a little bit more, well, then do more. So that's the biggest thing. People just look at that and they're like, they'll look at a bicep curl. Like, we're not reinventing the wheel on these moves. A bicep curl is a curl, but in other programming, they might have only curled 10 pounds because of the way the programming is set up. So that doesn't equal out, and it's not going to translate to LIIFT MORE. I'm going to tell you to do what the program says, LIIFT MORE.
Yeah. And you guys end up, which I think is really cool. You progress.
Yeah.
Throughout the 8 weeks, you guys progress. It's not like you're just showing the exercises. Every single one of you kept adding weight to the point that you were pulling out 100-pound dumbbell.
We got the honeys out. Yeah. And that was a big deal for us. That's why we really wanted to shoot it real time in terms of 1 a day. That's why I was out in LA again for 3 months, because we shot 1 workout a day to where we could do that. And excuse me, and LIIFT4, we didn't get to do that. We shot that program in just a few, like 2 weeks. So there wasn't any sort of progression, but I knew if we were going to do that, that we should show that myself and the team show that progression as well. And so we did do that. We got stronger. And yeah, we got the hundies up on the last week.
So cool. Now, for all the people that are going to eventually do the program, is there, and I'm totally putting you on the spot here, there may not be anything, but is there anything that's incredibly memorable that happened during that shoot that was inspiring or was funny or sucked?
The whole workout, I mean, you know me, like, I had fun on set. It was interesting the way we shot this, because normally we shoot on a set that's made for the program. It's built for the program. So we can, have all the time in the world we need to shoot these workouts and do whatever we need to do. Because we shot on the interactive, the BOD interactive set body, we were under the gun we had a hard out on time. So we had to shoot every morning at a certain time. We had to be off that set by a certain time, because then the live classes started. So we had zero room for error in this. And so,
no pressure.
Yeah, right. So, so people asked, did we shoot it live? Yeah. And I think we cut maybe twice, and that was for technical issues. And we picked it right back up within a minute or two, but everything else, man, we shot. I think the biggest, the most memorable aspect of it is we shot all the way through. Almost the entire program. We shot 9 weeks worth of content. So we did a lot of bonus content that first week, and we didn't have one issue. And that's so, there's usually something, like usually someone has an injury. I mean, just because, when you're working out so much, or someone cramps up, or someone, I don't know, or someone gets sick. I mean, we literally had nothing. It was impressive. And I think it was a testament to myself and the team, and we picked the right people, and we had the right crew, we had the right cast, we had the right everybody, and just all the puzzle pieces fit together. But we had a lot of fun on set. I think that's going to come out in the workouts. I think people saw a little bit of that in the sample workout. You saw the actual workouts, so that Katie, Austin, Ingrid, and CJ were just so much fun. That's why I picked them, because they all brought these fun little different personality elements together, and they played off each other really well. They played off of me really well, and then with the podcast up, so I think it's just a whole new way. And then we had the interactive stage behind me, so I was able to bring up the timer and stuff like that. So there was a lot of new things in the way we shot, but I think it worked out.
Yeah. Austin was probably my favorite. And I even asked you because I don't know if you've seen your own live workouts yet. But he's such a character, and he does such a good job of playing the camera and your humor. So when you
Austin was like the quiet sleeper on set where, excuse me, and he's the big guy, and he comes out on set but he's so athletic, and he's even trying out for the Olympics in Taekwondo. So he just his range of things he can do is absolutely impressive. And then on the flip side of that, you had CJ, who was, I call him my son because we have the exact same birthday, 11 years apart. He's 11 years younger than me. We have the exact same birthday in September. So we just call him. And so when he and Katie got on set, I was like, oh God, the kids are there. Because they would steal my phone and take pictures and all this shit. And then Ingrid would just come in and just, Mamacita, little powerhouse. And, but yeah, everybody was just a lot of fun. And I think people are going to really relate to the cast as well.
Yeah, 100%. I really enjoyed them. And so it makes me want to ask you this question that was again from a follower that I think is a really good question. Who has been a huge influence for you? Why and how in your life?
That's a good question. People ask me a lot of times if I have mentors or anybody mentors me and stuff like that. I mean, I've had business mentors throughout my career. I had a great one at Les Mills. I had a great one at Gold's Gym. A lot of the guys at Gold's Gym, that's probably where I learned some of the most important business learnings of my life, working with because anything in LA is more cutthroat than anywhere else. So I learned a lot of great things from them, and learned a lot of great things from my mentor at Les Mills as well, Steve Renata. He was great. And I think the rest of it has just been, I look up to anybody who is willing to grind and to put the effort into and do what needs to be done to get the job done. I think, work ethic is one of the most impressive things, or at least one of the things that I respect the most out of anybody is a work ethic, whatever that may look like. And it doesn't matter if it's somebody who is, whatever you want to say is out there framing a house right now, building a house, or if they're sweeping floors in a school. I don't care what your job is. If you're out there and you're grinding and you're providing for your family and you're trying to better yourself or your life, then you got my respect. So I think that's the biggest thing. And those are the people who I look up to and who I take solace from in terms of, and learnings as well. As if I see someone doing that, then I'm like, man, I got no excuse either. Those are the daily, so my daily is watching people work their asses off, basically. Yeah.
That's whatever Mick, which is rare, but whenever he talks nicely about you, that's one of the things that he always says is that guy sets his mind to something, he gets it done. And he does. He's not the kind of person that procrastinates or plans. He just goes and gets it done. And that's my husband
gets me in trouble too sometimes. Yeah. So, but Nick and I are definitely cut from the same cloth on that. If we were like, we want to do this, we're like, let's go. Yeah. I don't want to wait for anybody else. So sometimes we go a little too fast, but we still get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. So he's a hard one to please. That's quite the compliment for that man. So people see you through a lens for the most part, have from Les Mills all the way until today. And, you choose to put on, you're very inspiring and motivating on your social media, which is your job. Nobody wants to see somebody complain. And so I appreciate that. And so does everybody else. But I had a follower ask if you've had any setbacks and what you did to overcome them. And you may not necessarily have a specific setback that you think about, or even just a hurdle, or anything in the past that, has made it difficult for you to move forward, but you were able to endure.
Yeah. Look, I've definitely everyone's had their share of setbacks or those moments. And I talk a little bit about it on social media, not a lot in terms of history, because I don't like looking back too much. I like looking forward. I look back, and to me, I look back long enough to learn from it and say, okay, what was my learning? What's my takeaway? And how do I make sure that never happens again? That's really kind of how I like to see it, but I've had my low points. I've had my low moments of before moving back to LA that I've said, like I was depressed, and because I lived up in Washington State and it's beautiful, but I hated it because I need sunshine, and I was depressed from not seeing the sun for 9 damn months. So, and just, at that point in my life, I didn't like my job. I didn't like, it's just a lot of circumstances. And so, yeah, I had depression, some bouts of, I don't want to say, but I'm also very careful about saying like depression or this and that, because there's people who really are clinically diagnosed with depression. I was not. I just felt depressed. So I want to, you know, make that very clear. So I've had those lows, and you know, the past 8 months have been challenging in a lot of ways. So, you know, I see those setbacks, and those be those moments that sometimes I even be like, you know what, I need to disappear with a bottle of whiskey. I'll drink the whole bottle. I'll just say a bottle of whiskey. It's just a term. Don't freak out, everybody. But I just want, like, sometimes I'll just sit on my couch and watch mindless TV and have a couple drinks and just reset. And just like, you know what, this is, I'm going to finish the day. This is the end of today. I'm done. And I'll pick this back up tomorrow. So I've had those times, and I've had those setbacks. I've gone through a lot, you know, in my childhood of where I grew up and how I grew up. And that's a way different story for another time. But, you know, I look back for all that, and I just say, look, I'm not going to use it as an excuse. I'm not going to use it as a crutch. I'm not going to say that I can't do this because of how I was raised, or I can't do this because this is how I've never done before. I'm simply just going to learn from it and say, okay, well, now I'm not going to let it affect me. So I think it more than ever, unfortunately, I think it's, you know, more acceptable. I have to be careful. I'm trying to speak very generally here. I think it's more acceptable than ever before for people to use what has happened in their life as an excuse to move forward. And again, I'm very general in speaking about that. I'm not talking about specific things, but, you know, I think there's a lot. I don't think it's as bad as, I think most things aren't as bad as people make them out to be. How about that?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. And well said. And it is for another time. But I know you're growing up, and for you people to understand that he's come an extremely long way. If you knew, you'd be proud of him. So I want to do a couple of kind of rapid fire questions for you. So you're going to answer them kind of quickly because I got a million questions and I want to make sure I get as many as I can.
Okay.
Best shoes for Lift More or for lifting period?
My favorite shoes are Adidas Ultra Boosts. I have way too many of them.
Yeah, you do.
You will see them in LIIFT More. Those are all mine.
Okay. Someone asked, why are you so shy?
I'm really trying to be less shy. I'll work on that.
Which, yeah, it's totally not true. The most personable guy, if you ever go out with him in public, and if somebody recognizes him from LIIFT4 or LIIFT More, I mean, it's usually them in a very respectable way. They're like, okay, we'll let you go because you're so conversational and you want to learn about them. And so you are a great people person. Next question. Do you do steady state cardio?
No, my steady state cardio is my activity throughout the day.
Okay. Love that. Any update on your Jeep?
Oh, no, she gone. Jeep,
Nothing.
Track Hawk is long gone. Yeah.
What bucket list item is coming for you next for you to accomplish?
Well, we're taking your son Tanner and I are taking Mick, your husband, to Germany for his 50th, and we're driving F1s, and
that's pretty cool.
That's, yeah, I'm giddy about that.
It's funny. I was like, oh my gosh, his 50th is coming up. I got to get him a gift. I actually said that to myself, and I'm like,
no, you don't.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
We have to get him a gift for like until his 60th.
I think so. I think I'm good for a while.
I think we both are.
Right. Totally. So, of course, my audience asked, do you intermittently fast?
I've dabbled. You know this.
Yeah.
So if this goes back to what we talked about earlier, if I'm going for something specific and if I have to be ready for like a cover, you know, for key art, for the program or something like that, then this last one, full disclosure, I texted Melissa. I'm like, hey, I got a couple of weeks before the shoot. What can I do? You know, what would your thoughts be on how I can really hone it in even more? Always looking to try something new. And you had me do some intermittent fasting for evenings, right? So I think it was like stop it after 4. And I did that and I saw great results off of that. So I think I inadvertently do it more often than not though now, just because like wake up and we lift and we work out and stuff like that. So I'm kind of like, you know, a 10 to 8, 10 to 6 window, and that's about it. And then you force me to intermittently fast when we go on vacation.
Yeah, I do.
Hey, woman, I'm hungry.
It was our very first trip together and you were flat out annoyed. You're like, why is nobody eating? I'm going to go get
Yeah,
food.
Switzerland. Yeah, our first trip together. I was like, "What? Why is there no food? What are we doing?" And you're like, "We don't eat till noon." I'm like, "Why? That's so dumb." But then now I get it.
So what is your morning routine like? Do you have it like a routine?
Yeah, I mean, I wake up and I go. I mean, coffee is I have to have a cup of coffee first thing in the morning. So my morning routine is I grab my cup of coffee. Always turn music on. I always have music playing in the house, and then that's when I use the opportunity to just catch up on my social media for the day. I usually get my post up for the day, and share some stories and this and that, and then get up and do my workout, and then just hit the day.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah,
I
right.
I like the music idea though, because I mean, and we're the same way. We've got one of those little Google that sets the mood. I mean,
I can't have the only time there's not music on anywhere I am is if I'm asleep
or in a podcast.
or on a podcast, which I think it's actually playing silently in the background.
You can still hear it.
Yeah.
All right. The last question that I have is, what supplements do you use?
Supplements for me, I have the Joel stack, as they call it, Beachbody Performance. I don't take a lot of other supplements. I've over the years I've always supported Powermill Labs. My buddy out of Atlanta, he's got a couple of supplements that I've used off and on over the years. I think they're great. I don't take them on a consistent basis. So aside from like a multivitamin every day, and then but for my thing, and you even asked me this morning, like, because I used to not take Energize every day. I always just used to do a cup of coffee or two. And when we were filming LIIFT More, I did do Energize every single morning, and then it really does help. I mean, like I even did a post about that a couple of days ago, because it's not just caffeine. It's not just a pre-workout. It's everything that goes into it that does actually help my workout. So supplementation is for me is Energize. And then honestly, it's recover and recharge. I'm a protein guy, that. So I want to keep giving my body the fuel it needs. So all about the protein.
All about the protein, baby. So as you're waving your arm around, and we talked a little bit about your sleeve, not that you have to share what you're doing, but you are planning on completing that very soon and having that whole arm complete. Are you stopping there?
I'm stopping. Oh, am I stopping on there? Like in terms of, I don't know, probably not. I mean, they're so weirdly addicting, but I don't have any plans in the future for any more once this is done, because this is a lot. And this last big 2 pieces took 7 hours, and my guy's amazing. He's out of California, and I watched podcasts and caught up on some Netflix series while he was doing it. But sitting in a chair for getting a tattoo for 7 hours straight, it's a lot, and it really is kind of draining. But it's a hell of an experience, and I am definitely addicted. I've always wanted a sleeve. Like I've always wanted one. I just always, as long as I can remember, wanted a sleeve. So we'll get this done, and then we'll see.
And to close this out, because this is my own personal question, which I don't think I've ever asked you. It's because hello, I'm a coach. It's Beachbody related. You are coming out now with your third program. The first 2 wildly successful. LIIFT4 is still probably the top program that is revisited. And you will be on BODi for who knows how long, but BODi will be a part of you. Is there any future? How are you with Beachbody in the future? Do you see yourself creating another program, extending your brand?
Yeah, I don't know.
Whiskey program.
What?
A whiskey program?
Whiskey program. No, I'd actually love to own a whiskey company.
Really?
Yes, I would love to. I'd love to have my own whiskey brand. I think that's on the bucket list. Cool. But in terms of a career, I don't have any intention of going anywhere with Beachbody. I don't think they have any intention on not keeping me around for the foreseeable future. We've done something amazing with LIIFT4. We've done something amazing with LIIFT More, and people are going to see that. I mean, it's easy for me to say right now, but I think, and you did it, but I think we know it works. And so, I think there's a lot of opportunity in the future for in the, as I call it, the LIIFT franchise. And I'd like to, there's a couple other things that, you know, the team and I have talked about in terms of hopefully expanding in that franchise from that LIIFT component. And I think it's a very successful thing. I think, you know, we found, I found my niche, I found what really works, and I hope we can expand on that. So I've got a couple ideas for the future that stays on brand in that franchise. You know, 10 rounds was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. You know, it goes into my second love, which is boxing. And, you know, if we ever get to do another, any sort of 10 more rounds or whatever we want to call it, then we'll do that. But, you know, in the meantime, right now, the focus is on getting LIIFT More out. And then, I don't know, brand wise, I'd really like to keep it simple, just like I like my workouts. I like to keep, you know, I say no to stuff every single day of people asking me if I want to represent their brand or promote a product. And I personally am like, I'd rather just buy that t-shirt than get it for free and have to promote it.
Right. I hear you.
Yeah, I'm just not, I don't know. I'm not that person, and to each their own. I think it's great if people want to go out there and create a brand where they're very influential about what they do and what they have on a daily basis and discount codes, then great. I'm all for it. But like, that's just, it's not my own, it's not my cup of tea, but
you don't drink tea.
it's not my cup of whiskey. It's not my glass of whiskey. So yeah, I think right now the focus is really going to be, you know, look, LIIFT4 came out 4.5 years ago, and yeah, just over 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago, and it's been, yeah, like you said, still the #1 stream program on M.A.D.E right now, which is just crazy. So we got it right with that one. I hope we got it right with this one, and you know, continue just to really stay true to that franchise. I think as long as we stay true to it and continue to make good and effective programming for people, that they're gonna be loyal to that brand as well. So
yeah, and obviously on the science side, strength training is not going anywhere. It's just more and more emerging proof that you need it. I mean,
yeah.
Young adults need it, you know, adults need it, elderly need it, everybody needs strength training. And so for you to continue to bring out things that keep people picking up those heavy things and lifting them 12 times is a really good thing.
Yeah, it's going to be, you know, this is LIIFT4 I think was a great, I guess you can say, intro into that, because even though there were weightlifting programs before, there had never been one that was really that 50-50 split of lift and hit. There was never one with 4 days a week. So we were able to really take down and bust a lot of barriers down with, you know, people saying they don't have enough time. The workouts were 30 to 35 minutes. So we got rid of the time. We gave people flexibility for the first time. I think that's what people love too, is it wasn't so rigid. And like, if you miss a day, you're behind or anything like that. That 4 days gives people those other 3 days to make it up. So, you know, we really were able to check a lot of boxes and get those barriers down. So I think now with LIIFT More coming out, it's just taking it up a level, and it's going to take all those, you know, millions and millions of people who have done LIIFT4 and bring them into another level of lifting. And I think that's what I'm excited about, because I want to see, and you did it, and anybody who's tested this program has done it. And I did it. I've even done it myself physically, with my fitness, getting bigger and stronger. And it's fun, man. It really is.
And it's not just lifting. For those of you that don't have a whole lot of knowledge about this program, there's also the burnout and the HIIT, which now that, you know, long-term cardio, like I used to be turbo girl, you know that, and I would do 45 minutes of air jacks, and I can't imagine doing that anymore. And, you know, science proves that HIIT is the best form of, you know, cardiovascular strength that you can build for yourself. And it's short and it's sweet, and it is the most effective way to improve your cardio and your fat burning, as opposed to doing that long 30, 45 minutes on a treadmill, or, you know, in a group exercise class where you're just really doing nothing but jumping around.
Yeah. And again, we're speaking in very general terms of, and so if there's specific, if someone can't do certain things that they can't do, you know, people say, well, I can't jump, I can't do high impact. Well, high intensity is not high impact. That's two different things. So there's still a lot of opportunity to do that, but yeah, we're definitely going the right direction with this. But that's the biggest thing, is people got to lift. So as long as people need to lift, then there's a market for the LIIFT franchise, and I hope we can keep pushing it.
Me too. Well, Mr. Joel Freeman, thank you for your time. You know, I could talk to you for hours.
It's fine. I got nowhere else to be. I already did my workout for the day. I'm good.
Yeah, you did. I told him after this podcast, sitting here for an hour now, I should keep the camera on. You guys need to see me stand up. I mean, I've been doing now these workouts for, it's been 8 months. It's been 8 weeks plus, and I still get sore, and not a unbearable sore, but a wow, that hit the right muscle sore. I mean, I showed you this morning what an incredible place to get sore. I was like, that is exactly where I want that 45 minutes of hard work to show me that I did the right thing. And I'm just carrying on, but I have issue. I got feet that don't like impact. My knees will hurt me. My back will hurt me. And I, during those 8 weeks, never once had any inkling of I'm a little, my ankles don't feel that strong right now, or, my knees, I got some pain, not once, which is incredible considering that I feel like I was lifting really heavy, but there was zero issue whatsoever with anything when it came to any sort of overuse pain or old injury pain coming back. Zilch. Yeah.
And I think that, and what has benefited me, people ask like how I come up with these and how I put all these together. I think what's helped me do that is because I've had injuries myself. And so I have 2 herniated discs in my L4, L5, L5, S1, so that I've had to deal with over the years, and sciatic nerve pain. And I've had a knee surgery, and this was all doing just dumb shit when I was in my 20s, not stretching, not taking care of my body. So I have boxing shoulder. I've separated both shoulders in boxing before. So like, it's been beneficial that that's all happened, because that, when I'm writing these workouts and before we start testing and stuff like that, I'm like, if I can't do it, then, or I should say, if I can do it, then anybody can do it, right? In terms of that. Now, unless you have, again, specific injuries, but I'm talking from a general standpoint. If I can do it with lower back issues, shoulder issues, knee issues, and I'm feeling good, and I do right now, like I feel great because of the way I'm lifting, then I think, again, that goes into, I think that's why people like my workouts so much.
Yeah. Agreed. All right, sir. I'm going to let you go. I know you just ate your sandwich, but I'm going to let you go enjoy.
I'll probably go eat again.
It's nice hot weather. I really appreciate your time, being candid with me, sharing your love of this program and what it is. And we're so excited. And if you want to send me the link to your buddy supplements, I'll put that in the show notes. So if anybody wants to check those supplements out, they certainly can. If it's good enough for you, I'm sure it's good enough for anybody else. We will put that in there as well. But I love and appreciate you. You're fun. You got a huge heart, and I'm just grateful to have you in my life. So thank you.
I am too. And it's really just mostly because of you, not Mick. So
I have to tell you, I'll start giggling. He's like, what? And I'm like, look what Joel sent me. And he's like, he never texts me that kind of stuff. And I'm like, sorry.
I texted you a picture of what I cooked for the first time. He doesn't give a shit about that.
Oh, he did. He was like, he doesn't send me this.
I'll text him what I make tonight then.
There you go. Anyway, all right, you guys, thank you so much for joining in.
Thanks, everybody.
You're welcome. And know that M.A.D.E always stands for make a difference every day. I want you to wake up feeling prepared, go to bed feeling proud. Have a great day. Wow, we've reached the end. But before I leave you, I'd love to hear from you. After all, it's not every day that someone reaches out and asks for your opinion. And to me, your opinion does matter. So please share this episode with anyone that you think needs to hear this message. And remember to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. My name is Melissa McAllister. And until next time, thank you for being your own health advocate.